Hey guys, welcome to another YouTube video. This is the second AFL season review on a finals team, and this one is, of course, of the Richmond football club. So let's get straight into it. So last year. Richmond, of course, they were out of the finals for the first time since 2016 after, of course, the successful era when they won flags in 2017, the prelim in 2018, and the flags in 19 and 20. And then this year they returned to the finals, finishing 7th with having 13 wins compared to 9 the previous year. But unfortunately, and they were favourites to win the elimination final against Brisbane, of course with their form from the last two games of the home and away season. But unfortunately they lost in controversial circumstances, as we all know, with the Tom Lynch controversial points, and then of course Joe Danaher putting the side in winning them the game with a minute left, which ended their season. So a pretty good of a comeback season for Richmond after the lean year that was 2021. Hopefully they rise back up later again, make a challenge for the top four in 2023. Highlights, only one for Richmond, and that was the round 20 win over Brisbane after coming from, at one stage, 42 points down to win that one by 7 points, which was a bit surprising. I mean, we all knew that Brisbane totally outplayed them in the first quarter when they kicked 7 goals in the first quarter, and then when Hipwood got a goal in the 18th minute mark of the second quarter, that was 42 points up. We all thought, it was Brisbane by far, but then Richmond slammed on 11 of the last 14 goals of the game. After that, they scored 11 goals, 10 to 3 at 2, but Brisbane kicked 3 goals and 9. So Brisbane had their chances in that game, and ironically, of course, Richmond got over the top of them by 7 points, obviously, with Tom Lynch, their star player, icing the game. That one was mostly their main highlight. Their low light, which is quite an obvious one, and that is in particularly their poor record in tight games has been quite poor. They've only won one tight game. That was in the Brisbane game, and one draw, which is the game they should have won, which was in the draw against Fremantle. Other than that, of course, you got Sydney by 6 points with that controversial finish where some suggest should have been a 50-metre penalty been played after the siren when a free kick was called on the siren, but I think Chad Warner, that was the guy that kicked the ball into the crowd, and that some people said it should have been 50. Looking back at it now, probably it shouldn't have, because of the siren that sounded anyways. And then of course the Geelong game where they were like, I don't know how many points they were behind, but at some stage they had a chance to win it from being so far behind, and then obviously they lost the game, obviously because of Tom Stewart. Then, of course, the round 17 and 18 games, ironically, they should have won, especially the one against the Gold Coast Suns. That one will probably, they would rue, probably. And then the North Melbourne one, which ultimately they would more rue. I mean, they should have won. They should have won. With their composure, they should have won that game and the Gold Coast game, but unfortunately, they didn't round it out in the end. And then of course to add, the elimination final. Obviously, that is probably five games that they should have won. And if you add the home and away season, if that 50 meter penalty had happened, and so Richmond would have won the game, for example, then if they've hung on against Geelong, Gold Coast, North Melbourne, or kick the winning goal against North Melbourne, and then the Fremantle game when they could have kicked that. If Cumberland had kicked that, it didn't play on, and would have kicked the goal, attempted to kick a goal after the siren. That would have been five. That was 5 wins definitely in the home and away season they could have won. They ended up with, I think they ended up with, I think I said they ended up with 13 wins. If you add those 5, then their base. If you add those 5, for example, just for example, if you add 5 to that list, that's 18. That's basically 18 wins to their name, which means that they would be equal, which would be, they would almost be equal with Geelong, really, if things really did go their way. But unfortunately, they end up finishing 7th in the end, in that one. So yeah, and I think that you need, if you want to challenge for the flag, then you need to win all counts. You need to win the smash teams that are on the bottom of the ladder. Ugly wins, and then also there's tight wins as well. You need to win all 3 of those if you want to win the flag. Unfortunately, tight ones was just not what Richmond wanted. Richmond, couldn't do throughout 2022. To marking them out of 10, I've given them a 6.5 out of 10. I was gonna give them a 6. I really was going to give them a 6, but I thought, no, it's a tiny bit too low for 6 out of 10 for someone who finished 7th, and they absolutely smashed teams by 10 goals like 3 times. So I've given them a half a point more. So I've given them a 6.5 out of 10 for their season. The players that starred, of course, Tom Lynch obviously had a career best season. I mean, the stats shows itself. I mean, 63 goals from 19 games, which is equal his best season in terms of goals to 2019 in his first season with Richmond. 63 goals for this time. He played all 25 games, including the grand final. This time he only missed like 4 games, and he kicked 63 goals. So just imagine if he played all 23 games, including the elimination final. If you count the elimination final, so if he had played all 23 games, then I would assume he would have easily won the Coleman. Definitely Coleman medal. Definitely would have overtaken Curnow for the Coleman medal. I mean, on average, 3.3 goals per game. That is massive, and obviously it only totally destroys the 2.5 goals per game that he scored within 2019 as well. I think he in terms of key forwards this year, I think there's been 3 standouts to me. Lynch is one of them. Cameron and Curnow. Some people would say, what about Hawkins? But I think he's not. I don't think he's at the level to what Jeremy Cameron is. I mean Hawkins is just a stay alone forward, while Cameron can roam wide of the ground and that sort of stuff. So yeah. So I think Lynch. I think if he plays at least 20 games again or so on and so forth, then Richmond and forms like he did or even better than he did this year, then Richmond have a good chance of making finals again, and perhaps maybe an even better position next year for next year as well. Another player who really showed that really showed his work. It really showed that he's one of the he can be one of the best players in the game, and that is Shea Bolton. The X factor that he brings to every game is just unbelievable. I mean, and the rise this year, he's just been unbelievable. I mean, in the previous 4 or 5 years before this year, he only scored 57 goals in 67 games, which is under a goal a game. But this year he upped it to 1.8 goals per game, matching the time in the forward line with some time in the midfield, with 43 goals in 23 games. Played every game this year, and also just everyone doesn't know is he kicked 41 goals, 43 behinds. That's 84 scoring shots. From what I've counted here, I think there's about 5 or 6 players that have had more scoring shots over this season than what Bolton has. Like Kerno with 106, Hawkins with 103, Jeremy Cameron with 99, his teammate Lynch with 90, Max King with 93. These are guys that have had more scoring shots this year than him, but are higher up on the goal kicking table. Aaron Norton, the same as just 1 point above him. He's 85 on 85, and that is just about it. So he with 41 goals, 43. If he kicked straight, or had the ability to kick straight, then he could be he could be the ability to be anything. That is Bolton. I think, and he was. I think he was. I was really surprised at the Brownlow that he didn't have as many votes as he did. I thought he would have maybe not may have 20 votes, but close to 20 votes. But he didn't. He ended up getting what was it? I think it was 12 or 13 votes, which is absolutely ridiculous. For him, but yeah. So yeah. So I think if he works on his goal kicking accuracy, then he can take his goal kicking to the next level in terms of accuracy and that. Then I think he can really stake a claim as probably one of the best players, not just forwards, not just key forward, not just small forwards, but the best player in the game, one of the few. So yeah, the under pressure is I've put it on Richmond's midfield because Prestia. Prestia. He's still suffering with a lot of soft tissue injuries. He did so in the elimination final. Which one of the reasons why Richmond lost. Dustin Martin, he's not performing as well as we all thought he is. Cochin, he's nearing the end of his career. Bolton is really not is basically a part-time midfielder, part-time small forward. So and we've of course, as we all know, GWS duo Tim Taranto and Jacob Hopper have said, we want to go to Richmond. That's that would mean that they would. And that would add a lot of depth to their midfield, but unfortunately, and that would be good as well because obviously, Martin's not getting any younger. Presti is not getting any younger. Cochin's near the end, so I think it's smart by Richmond to have two 25-year-old two players in their mid-20s, still reaching the prime of their careers. Getting them to the Tiger Army. I think that would be it's smart move to get Taranto and Hopper in the same midfield group, and I think that would work wonders there. But I think the pressure would be is that there will be so and very much so big expectations on Richmond being one of the more elite midfield groups alongside the Bulldogs, the Lions, so on, Collingwood, so on and so forth. That would be massive, and also I don't know how Martin and Taranto will play with each other because they're I'm not saying they're the same player, but they're basically the same. From what I've heard, they're basically the same kind of players, start in the midfield and then at some point go forward and kick goals, that sort of stuff, and so on and so forth. So it says big expectations on Richmond for 2023 in terms of their midfield. So that is the end of. That's basically the end of this video. Of course, at Richmond. Jumping from 12th with 9 wins to 7th with 13 wins, and of course being knocked out in the elimination final. So like this video, share this to anybody who is a Richmond fan. Comment down below. What are your do you think Taranto the additions the potential additions, I should say, of Taranto and Hopper? Do you think they'll improve? Do you think that'll improve Richmond? Or do you think that they'll just still be around the 7th, 8th, 9th category? I would love to hear your opinions down below in the comments. And one last thing, somewhere down there, click on the big red button, which is labeled subscribe. So until next time, guys, I'll see you guys later, and wherever you may be, may the sun or the moon shine on you.